Like, what the heck is going on over here?
They're playing ping pong, and then Michael got mad because Prince was being real competitive and hitting the ping pong ball too hard. So Michael had to leave the studio. They was at Sunset Sound in L.A.
Over ping pong. We rolling?
Ping pong.
D.
It was too funny. It was too funny.
Hey, this is Jet with Pop Austin Media, and I got legendary in Austin, legendary with music. My guy T Double in the building. Finally, we got you in.
Yeah, in person.
In person, yeah. That last one wasn't popping, and that it ain't your fault. It was just the parameters involved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
COVID.
it was COVID time. It was at the top of COVID too.
Yep.
Dang, that's crazy, man. But how's life?
It's good, man. You know, being productive, working on music, new projects, trying to stay busy, trying to stay healthy, just living life, man, being blessed, man. I ain't really got no complaints, man.
At the Grammys, we'll talk about that. I heard you were invited to the brunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You was at the brunch?
I didn't go to the brunch.
Oh, I was about to be like, if you with the curveball.
Yeah, no, but you get invited to a lot of events, man. That's the thing. Grammys is a week long. It's a week long thing. Most people just see the Sunday night, the TV portion, but that's usually the very, very end of it. Then there's a real dope after party across the street every year, which is themed, right? Like this year was like more like botanicals and Circus Soleil. Like there was people flying around and in costumes, and Flo Rida performed, and Flavor Flav came out.
I know Diddy was acting the plum fool.
I mean, it was the after party is really where people get hype.
Oh, yes.
Get hype,
Then there's a pre-party everywhere.
Yep.
But let's get to you though. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Austin, man.
Which I knew that, but for the people, yeah.
Born and raised right here, man.
What part of Austin though?
East Austin. I was born right over there by Victory Grill.
Okay.
So East Austin. I'm from there. Catappa. That was my street that I was born on. So
you seen this town turn into a city grow?
Yeah. I'm one of the. Maybe there was a few generations after me, but from Brackenridge, Brack kids, when that hospital was over there, the red brick. So a lot of black kids, people of color, were born at Brackenridge. I smile because
TT and I talks about Brackenridge a lot.
Yeah, that was it, man. You know what I mean? You meet somebody from Brackenridge, they from the town.
Yeah, they from the town. They from there.
They from the town.
How was childhood out there?
It was good, man. You know what I mean? It's like my parents worked. I have an older brother. And so it was just a real creative environment. You know what I mean? My mother was a teacher. She retired maybe 10 years ago or something like that. So she taught like Head Start, like Child Incorporated, like kids before they go to like kindergarten. So she taught me and my brother. So she was our actual teacher, not just in life, but in academia too. And my dad, he worked at Shoal Creek Hospital my whole life. So he was a janitor there. And so my household was great. It was always creative. It was always be what you want to be, try to do what you want to do. You didn't have to follow the crowd. A lot of my friends were into like football and heavy hardcore sports. I ran track at Keeling. I went to Keeling Junior High. I ran track there for I think I probably ran like one track meet.
Oh, what happened? You just figured out, nah, this ain't
I was
me.
like, that ain't for me. Like, I've been real good about that in my life, right? Like, I would like, yeah, no.
I got to keep it real. Did you get smoked?
Yes, but I didn't come in last though. Because like there's like 6 people running.
There you go. You
so
didn't come in last.
I wasn't the last. I was second to last.
But it wasn't last.
I wasn't last. So after that, I was like, let me stick to this music thing because I was already rhyming. I already had DJ Chili Fresh, Chili Red. A lot of people know him as Chili Red now.
Chili Red.
So he became my beatbox partner at Keelan, and then he started building turntables and he built one.
How'd y'all meet?
We met at Keelan.
I hate to cut you off.
Yeah, no, we met at Keelan because. And there's a part in Keeling in the very middle called the Courtyard. I actually wrote a song about it years later. But it's called the Courtyard where people would hang out between A, B, and C lunch, right? And there was always be rappers battling and all that. Yeah, just acting a fool. So everybody was battling and rapping and all that. I was like, I'm pretty nice. I think I'm nice. I would have my backpack full of raps and my notebooks. I was like, maybe this could be my world premiere of getting busy. But everybody had a beatboxer, right? Okay. Nobody was just stepping up rapping a cappella. Everybody had somebody with them who ran the beats. And so Charles, I heard him beatboxing, and I was like, yo, come beatbox with me real quick while I do this thing. And we just like jailed. And I was like, yo, let's make a group. Like, why not? So we just linked up, became a group. We came up with the name Dope Melody. And we started dropping a lot of cassettes and just, as far as a group, I think we probably dropped maybe like 5 or 6, maybe more cassettes. We was always recording. And we would go to his house. We would go to the pawn shop and rent 808s, 909s, SK5s. We would rent all of our gear. We was really self-contained. I always told him, let's do it ourselves. So he built a turntable that would go backwards, like that song by Beastie Boys, like Paul Revere.
Yes,
so
sir.
we did one of the first ones like around town where the beat was actually going backwards. So yeah, so that's my homie. He's still my boy. You know what I mean? It's like Chili Fresh. Yeah.
Who's your inspiration music wise?
Oh man, I think as far as hip hop, the first person I was really like, damn, I can do this because they kill it was LL Cool J. The first record that I bought like with my own money was Radio, his first album. And I was like, this is amazing. Because, back then it wasn't a whole bunch of samples, a whole bunch of chops. It was mostly, the Oberheim drum machine and rapping and maybe some scratching for filler, right? And so it was just bars, lyrics. And I was like, he was like, I can't live without my radio. And I was like, yes, I feel that. Like, I can't live without my radio. Like, I embraced with that. I was like, okay, I'm there. And as far as just music in general, it'd be Prince. Like, I'm a huge Prince fan. And because of Prince is when I mailed my first demo to Warner Brothers because he was on Warner Brothers. And I was like, I want to get a record deal. My mom was like, well, who you going to send it to? I went through my dad's records. I got Prince. I think it was Controversy. Looked on the back. I saw he produced, wrote, composed, arranged, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I can do all that too because I guess that's how you make records. Because I never really had nobody say a producer needs musicians. You need these people, you need that people. And I saw that. He's doing everything himself. I can do it myself too. So I mailed my first demo to Warner Brothers. I was like 8 or 9.
How was that process? Tell people like that, because that's something that, you ain't doing that no more.
Yeah.
You do that, it ain't even getting there. And if you do, it's getting stepped on.
Before you get to that, talk about a little bit just about like when you first started in the Austin music scene. Was there like any platforms or shows or like how was you guys getting your music out to the public back then?
Yeah, back then it was straight, out the trunk, literally. You know what I mean? It was out your backpack. You walk around, you go to Highland Mall, you hang out in the gold mine, right? That was kind of like the trap, right? You go to the gold mine, everybody's playing game, putting their quarters up for next. You seeing who got the biggest stacks of quarters, you know what I mean? Then you run up and say, yo, I got this, I got this cassette. I sell it to you, I'm selling them for 10, but I give it to you for 5. When really you selling them for 5 anyway. Yeah. So it's just a hustle, right? So I be in gold mine killing. I be at school killing. Like, I would go to corner stores, and I would go to the corner store and tell them, hey, instead of putting my stuff in Music Mania, like a lot of people were doing at the time, I would go to corner stores and go to the owner and say, look, I want to sell this cassette for 10. I give you $3 off every cassette. You give me 7, right? And I was moving product in the corner stores while everybody was at Music Mania, being way in the local section or being way in the section where your name initial started, right? Like if it's T double, I'm way in the T's. I had the corner store. I had the corner store.
They don't have like they didn't have like a local artist
not at
featured.
First. Not at first. You were just mixed in.
In Music Mania, so that's not around no more.
No, it's been going a long
I haven't
time.
heard that mug in it. Yeah, so so people that may not know that, since that seemed like another outlet.
Yeah,
like,
Music Mania was like the hottest record store in Austin for hip hop. Like when 50 Cent started, he went to Music Mania. When 50 Cent opened up for Master P, they went to Music Mania. When Lil Wayne was with BG as the original Hot Boys, they went to Music Mania, right? So anybody who was doing anything musically would go to Music Mania. Like there were gold records on the wall. There was platinum records on the wall. So the thing was, if you selling out of Music Mania, you doing something. Like you killing. And the scene back then was like, with DJ Casanova, Coolie Girls, MCKB and IC, Papa Chuck, who was the first artist to really get a major record deal. When they put out records, the whole town supported that artist, right? Like if Papa Chuck dropped a record, if Project Crew dropped a record, like Army Man was a really big hit back then. And y'all can Google all this and look into it, and I suggest you do. When Project Crew dropped Army Man, nobody else dropped records.
Dang.
It was like a spoken thing, like Army Man is dropping May whatever. Don't nobody else drop records. Let's all buy that and push their numbers up.
That's dope.
And that helped them tour and go to Japan and boom, boom, boom. So then when Dope Melody drop a product, don't nobody move. Everybody get ours. When MCKB and them drop a record, don't nobody move.
Y'all was able to do that without the internet, bruh.
Killing it. Like we was really moving number. Like the thing is, if you look at it in perspective, like we was moving thousands and thousands and thousands of records locally, and nobody even knew.
And y'all was working together still at the same
Yeah.
time. Nobody
Yeah.
working together no more.
Yeah, like like me and Charles, man, Chili Freshman, we was like 15, some performing at Doris Miller and already making 500 a G a show as kids. Like we had already had the buzz where people was like, I want to see Dope Melody. Like we had the red jackets with the airbrush. Like we had it together. I would sit with Chili and be like, he'll even tell you, I was the one that said, this is gonna be our plan. This is what we do. This is how we moving. Because I've always been a business mind. I was like, we're gonna call ourselves this. We're gonna carry ourselves this way. We're gonna make songs that are original and funky. We're gonna make beats that are raw. You're gonna make beats. I'm gonna make beats. You're gonna be the DJ. I'm gonna be the rapper, right? Like Jazzy did the Fresh Prince first album. You know what I'm saying? You the DJ. I'm the rapper. That was our thing. And I said, we're gonna stick to that. We're not gonna divert from it. We're not gonna follow trends. We're gonna stick to that. And we got booked for all these shows. And I started hanging around with DJ Casanova, carrying his crates, because he was kind of like our Marley Marl, right? He was kind of like our Pharrell, our Timberland. If he didn't produce you, forget about it. Forget about it. He was like the Def Jam record arm. Like when you saw that record, you were like, I'm buying that. When Casanova produced you, that's it. So Papa Chuck, who got the first major deal to, I think it was Pendulum. And at the time they had Lords of the Underground. They had Diggable Planets.
Dang, you pulling out some names.
Yeah,
bro.
they was killing, right? So Marley Marl produced with Papa Chuck. A lot of people produced him, but he was the first one to get a deal. But I went to high school with Chuck at Reagan. And I was a few years behind him. But every time I saw him, I was like, let's battle. Every time he'll be sitting on his Audi and he'll be with his girl. It was like some straight.
Was you always trying to catch him lacking?
Yeah, all the time, right? Because I was like, the way, it's still the same thing. If you want to get put on, you go who's at the top, right? Who's the main cat, right? So I was just like, I'd be with Chili Fresh, we'd be with our little homies, and I run up on him, yo, Chuck, let's go. He'll be with all the girls. He'd be, because he was the dude, right? Mm-hmm. Like they had the fat chains, him and Chuck and Quince, Quince went to LBJ, and I was like, let's go, get out of here. He would say that to me every time, get out of here. But every day at lunch, I would skip classes to go to A, B, and C lunch to catch him. And be like, let's go, I'm ready. And he was like, man, what's your name? Like, who are you? I was like, yo, I'm T-Double, man. He was like, I got somebody I want you to meet, man. So he introduced me to DJ Casanova. And then Casanova was like, okay, let me hear what you got. And I just freestyled for I think I freestyled for maybe like an hour or so straight for Casanova.
Good Lord.
And he was like,
you did some proof stuff.
Yeah, and he was like, yo, okay, I'm rocking with you, but we need to get you to make songs. Like you can rap your ass off, but songs are like 3.5 minutes. Like, what's your hook? Do you have hooks? And I didn't know none of that. So he would pick me up in his Suburban, take me to his house, and just tell me, write songs, write hooks. And I write 5 or 6 songs while I'm there for like a couple of hours. He'd be like, that's whack. That's whack. That's garbage. That's not tight. So it was, and I took it as him being real sincere as a mentor, right? Like I wasn't like, now cats be like, oh, you hating. Like, I know it's dope. But Cass, he was from New York. He's one of the first cats who brought mixtapes and actually pressing vinyl to Austin. He brought that here because we wasn't doing that, pressing vinyl. So, and he was down with, the RZA, Prince Paul, Big Daddy Kane. Like, he knew them dudes. So when they came to Austin, they would be at his house. So sometimes I would be at his crib, sitting on his couch, and it'd be like Prince Paul and the RZA in his room, right? Back where he made beats. Not to be sitting there like the young cat, like, soaking up game.
Yeah, if I say soaking it in.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll be talking to Prince Paul about, how De La Soul finally got their stuff on streaming services and all that. Prince Paul was talking about their situation back then with Tommy Boy Records. And I would just be sitting on the couch like, that's interesting contracts, huh? Ownership, publishing, type. But I was never like, yo, listen to me rap. Check out my, I was never like, check me out. I would just sit there and chill with Cass, right? I was always, when he went to battles, I would carry his records. Like I was the kid carrying the crates. And so one time Cass was like, okay, you got the raps down. Let's work on the beats. He said, I'm about to go get me some Popeyes or something. He was like, I'm about to go get me some chicken and meet a girl or something. He said, when I come back, I want you to make 3 beats. And Cass had an MPC, an ASR 10, and SP12. Mm-hmm. And those were like the core production elements of the time. And he said, I want a beat on each one by the time I get back. He said, I'm gonna be back in about 40 minutes. At that time, I had only been using like SK5s, maybe 808s we rented, right? Stuff like that. So I didn't even know how to turn these pieces on.
Oh, Lord.
And he was like, 40 minutes, I need beats.
And we don't have Google, people.
At all. Barely had MapQuest, right? So he was like,
And MapQuest was like MapQuest.
MapQuest. It's like you was a pirate, right?
It's a little
so
map.
He was like, I want 3 beats. So I sat there and I was like, okay, how you turn this shit on? How you do what you do? So I turn on the MPC 60. The Champos. I'm thinking about how I would see him do it, right? Because I was always peeping. Make a beat. I go to the ASR. Make another beat. I go to SB12. Blah, 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 blah. He come back. He got the chicken. He's chilling. He's like, run the beats. You made beats, right? I said, yeah, I got the beats, you know. And he was like, he said, what do you think of your beats before you play them? I said, they are whack. Garbage, right? Because I was being honest. Other people said they dope. I was like, my shit's whack. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So he was like, okay, push play. So I played the beats, and he was like, yeah, they pretty whack, but you attempted to make your beats, right? Like you wasn't scared. You wasn't sitting here for 40 minutes twiddling your thumbs, bullshitting. So he was like, I'm gonna show you how to make beats on the MPC. I'm gonna show you how to make beats on SB12. So every day, like my mom knew him, like they knew every day around 4 o'clock, Casanova would pull up in the Suburban, and I'm going to his crib, just making beats, busting raps, writing rhymes. Because he had other groups that were ahead of me. Like, he had Papa Chuck, he had Quince, he had Dollars and Cents, he had Sockeye, he had, Mirage, who was down with Dollars and Cents, who eventually I put on with Good Vibes and got the deal through my deal, Kinetic. So he had, I was really the last on the totem pole, but I was one of the hardest workers though. Like I would come over there and have raps ready. Like, because it was kind of like the Juice Crew, right? With Marley Marl on there with the Symphony. You have all these rappers. So if somebody come, they don't have a rap, somebody else gets to rap.
Yo, you lose your spot.
You lose your spot. So
Which is only fair.
I always had raps. Always. Somebody come in there and be like, yeah, I don't feel like rapping today. I'm on it. Like, get me in the booth. And the booth was called the Hot Box. There was no AC. It was like a closet. No AC, nothing. So you one, take it. 2, maybe. And if you stay there too long, you come out drenched sweat, he might send you home.
Oh man, so you got to go in there and not sweat and still kill that.
It was a real boot camp. It was a real boot camp. Like when you go in there, you got raps, T? Yeah, I got him. Okay, get in there on this beat. He run a beat, you do your 16, he'll be like, yeah, that ain't for you. Maybe you can come back tomorrow. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, don't waste your time in his.
It was real, you know what I mean? And then, you get sharper and sharper and sharper. And then I would sit with him and talk business. You know what I mean? Like TLC sampled some of his stuff, and he was doing country rap. And he was getting royalties and publishing before anybody was really talking about it in Austin. So, you know what I mean? Like, it was a real boot camp for me to learn things. And I bring that to a lot of artists I talk to now with that same aesthetic of working hard, paying attention. Don't always be like, I'm that dude. But just sit here and listen and learn the game before you go sign contracts, before you do agreements and ownership. I'm real big on ownership because Cass was like, make sure you own everything. And he would always tell me, when you start making money off shows and records, buy gear. Buy your own thing, right? Because that way you don't have to wait for nobody to produce it. He said eventually he's going to move away, which he did. And he was like, you want to be self-sustainable. Like, they was giving me real game. Him and Andre Walker, who was one of the first cats. The second cat actually to do hip-hop at South by Southwest. Kier Worthy was first, who brought Def Jam South to Austin first before it went to Atlanta. That's a whole... I got stories.
No, but I mean, that, like, kind of like to piggyback off that, though, like, what do you see that artists out here currently, and even do you think that a lot of these engineers are just kind of like, okay, I'm getting this per hour, and they're not really trying to guide these artists?
Yeah, there's definitely not teachers in the studio, right?
And what's missing out here now from the old days?
Yeah, I think the thing is when you bring an artist in, like with my studio, somebody will come to my studio and say, hey man, I can pay you $200-$300 an hour. I'll be like, let me hear what you're working with first. I just don't want to take. I just won't take the money because that's a disservice to the artist. I'll be like, let me hear what you rapping.
And it's
about.
hard time. It's a recession.
Yeah, like you could take it and you could be juicing all day. Like I could be running around the city all day and just be like, give me money from all these artists. But I'm like, let me hear what you're doing. Okay, go work on your hook a little bit. Tweak that up. And then when you get that, let me hear it again. And then we can talk about recording.
I'm going to be real. I hear a lot of music from out here. There's not a lot of hooks that are just like, that's the one. I don't hear one like this. There's some that I've heard. I'm not going to say that there's not.
Right.
But to your point.
The hooks are what sell the song, right? Like almost every song you could think of, you think of the hook before you think of the verse. You know what I'm saying? So the hook has to be a linchpin to carry that, but the verse has to be a beautiful segue of thread before you get to that fabric of the hook.
And the intro got to get you in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like when I was starting, like your intro had to catch somebody within the first 5 to 10 seconds. Like it had to be something like
Still.
perfect example of somebody who still carries that to this day is Pharrell. Listen to any beat by Pharrell, his first 5 to 10 seconds are boom, 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 something. You know, cash in, cash out, boom, 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 cash in, cash out, cash in. You know, Robin Thicke, boom, 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 boom. Then he go into that Marvin Gaye type of joint. So it's the same. You know, Motown did it. Like if you watch a documentary about Barry Gordy, he said every song that people submitted to him from his writers within the first 5 seconds had to have some. That's why if you listen to a lot of those Motown sounds, it's boom, 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 boom.
You gotta hit them to make them go. You know,
what I mean?
go
so
crazy.
he was like, you got to catch them in the first, and then you get that carries it along the way. So a lot of those teachings still stay. Like you got to learn the history before of all genres of music, especially companies that were independently ran. Like when I came up, there was Cold Chillin', there was Def Jam, there was Pop Art, and the whole thing was start your own label. No Limit, Suave House.
I mean, didn't you have Woodstock? Go ahead,
So I was
D.
about to ask you.
Yeah.
So when did you like make your official like debut to the world? Like your first, professional CD, and then I know you got some kind of deals,
Right.
and placements and all that. So when did you like really make your professional debut?
I would say my actual deal with a label was in '98, because I had been putting out cassettes and CDs under my own label. My first label was called Po' Boy Records, because I was a po' boy trying to put out records, right? So that was my first label, and then I created Kinetic Global Marketing when I worked at South by Southwest, because a lot of artists who weren't getting booked for South by Southwest, I was getting their CDs and cassettes, and I thought they were amazing. So I created this company specifically to get the artists who didn't get selected to be on a compilation that I would get put inside of the Grammy bag. I mean the South by Southwest bags. So when you get a South by Southwest bag, you would get this Kinetic Global Marketing cassette that South by Southwest would let me do sometime. And sometime I would go there when they're stuffing bags and give the crew some and be like, here's a pizza for everybody. Put these CDs in the bag. So when people get the bag, they would get a CD of like Company Flow or some unique band from somewhere else that didn't get selected, right? So I created Kinetic Global.
That's love.
Yeah, I created Kinetic Global, and then when I was still working for South by Southwest when I went out to the Gavin, which was like one of the last hip hop type of festival. Like there was Jack the Rapper, there was a whole bunch, but the Gavin was the last one. And so I went to that one with a whole bunch of college DJs from Texas. And DJ Mike Swing, I don't know if y'all know him, DJ Mike Swing actually paid my way to go, because I didn't have no bread to go. And they was like, yo, T, you got to go experience this. And I was like, how am I going to get there? So they paid my way to go. That's my first time on an airplane.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
Don't get fed. So I was like, take me out there. So they took
Y'all
me out
want me
there.
to go?
Yeah, so we went to the Luke party. We went to the Bad Boy party. I met Nelly there and got Country Grammar on cassette from him while he was
Austin native.
Yep, Austin. Him, Sierra. Army kids. So,
Yeah, that is true.
So he handed me that cassette and was like, "Yo, this is, Country Grammar from St. Louis," and I played it. And I actually gave it to my cousin who lives here, Will Allen, and he was like, "What is it?" I said, "It's kind of, some guy gave it to me, some Nelly guy. I don't know."
That's funny because my dad owned a club in the day, and he said the same thing. He's like, "Who the f is a Nelly?" And then he put it in, and he was like, "Oh, this is lit."
Yeah, and I was like, okay. So they had all them parties, but on the very last day of that, which was a Sunday, it was raining. I wasn't feeling good. All the DJs were like, "Yo, T, we're going to this taco spot where all the artists from the Gavin were going to be at for the last day." And I was like, well, I don't feel good. It's raining or whatever. They was like, no, but you got to come, right? It was Mike Swing. It was Les, who had House of Fat Beats on KVR Rex. It was a lot of those DJs. So I got up. We walked down the street. We get to the spot, and it's Too Short there. It's Capadonna there. It's Kid Capri there. It's Chino XL there. Like, all these cats are in there, right? So the DJ puts on the beat. They all get in the line and start rhyming, passing the mic. And so I'm sitting at the table eating my tacos, right? I'm like, oh, shit, this is amazing, right? Like, what? When are you going to see this again in your life? So they were nudging me like, yo, T, man, get up there and rap. And, that's when that fear hits you. Like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough because these cats are doing it. I'm from Austin. I'm not good enough. They were like, yo, T, you are nice. You are nice. So I went up there, got in line. I think I rapped after Too Short, because we were in line. I think I rapped after Too Short, and behind me was Rascast.
That's a wild combo.
Yeah. So they passed me the mic, and I just went in. I was rapping about Austin. I was talking about the town. Because I'm really about the town. Anytime you see me, I'm about Austin. I ride. I don't flip flop. I don't say I'm from Austin for a little bit and then say I'm from here for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm Austin all day. So I was rhyming. I got done, and I was like, yo, I went to the bathroom. And I came out the bathroom, right? Because I was peed on myself rapping with these guys. So I went to the bathroom. I came out, and Les from House of Fat Beats pulled me aside and was like, yo, this is Matt Kahane from Good Vibe Recordings. They just had a distribution deal with Interscope. And so he introduced me. I was like, yo, what's up? So his first thing was like, you want to make a record? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, cool, send me a song. I said, no, but wait. Because at the time I was also working for Arista Records in Austin. So my industry game was thick. I said, no, but what I want to own the master. I want to own the publishing. And I want to have the ability to sign whoever I want to sign to my label without restrictions. You just fund it. You just give me a label deal. So you hear a lot of people around here and other places saying, I had a record deal, right? You were more like an employee. I was an employer because I had a label deal. I could sign cats, right? So he was like, I don't know. And I was like, yeah. And I said, also, I want you to send me a big packet of all the records you've done and all their chart positions, like on Billboard, whatever. I was really putting pressure on him. I was like really swinging my shit around, right? And he could have said no.
Oh, yeah. And you took a chance, too.
Yeah, he could have said no. But then he was like, all right, cool. So Gavin ended, went back home. Monday, I got a big package from his label. All his records, all his chart positions. Like, he came with it.
He said, what?
And he was like, here you go. What you want to do? And I was like, okay, let's do it. I said, I want to put out the record under Kinetic Global. I want to be able to sign whoever. He was like, bet. He was like, let's do a single. I said, no, I want to do an album. So we met in the middle with an EP. That's why that record has like 5 songs and maybe 2 snippets and like an instrumental on it. And he was like, okay, cool. I need this record in like a week, though, right? Because, to fit you on our schedule. So I was like, okay. So went to the studio. I still didn't have the ASR, so I got DJ Crash. And there was a guy named Jay Sycamore who worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, who had a studio in the back. So Crash came and got me, brought his ASR 10, took me to the studio. I knocked out Lost Scriptures, blazing. Like, I was, I produced quick. So I'm just boom, 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 knocking out all these tracks. And, I always got blessed for, DJ Crash, because he really stepped up with the gear. He was like, yeah, I want to see you make it too. And he was like, I got an ASR, you can use it for. So we went in there like, we hit the studio maybe 8 and then didn't leave Enterprise till like maybe 7, 8 the next morning. I was just making beats.
At Enterprise, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I submitted my DAT tape to Good Vibes. Said, here's the record. Now what, right? Like, it was really chess moves. He sent me the stuff, what's up? I sent him my stuff, what's up? And he was like, cool. So I'm talking to him on the phone. He's like, yo, this is amazing. Like, we're going to call the album Lost Scriptures. Well, he was like, what do you want to call it? I said, let's call it Lost Scriptures because this will be like the start of like scriptures for Austin hip hop, right? So when they go back, they could say what really pushed us to the next level. Because Papa Chuck got the first major record deal, but I got the first label deal, right? So that was like a next progression. So he was like, okay, cool. And he was like, well, what do you want on your cover? You want you? I said, no, let's do some artwork. Cause I said, people are real judgmental with how they see you. So they could see me and be like, he look whack.
Not even that, just people be on the cover all the time on all the albums, pointing,
or whatever, right? So I was like, let's do some artwork. So he got this young lady named Evolve in LA to draw it. So the cover of Lost Scriptures is somebody levitating with tablets and pyramids behind them, right? And so that really, I said, but what I do want is the Texas flag on the back. So on the back of that EP is the Texas flag drawn like graffiti on the back of that record. And so they was like, okay, we'll put the record out. So I'm talking to him. He's listening to the record. The album finishes. He lets the DAT run. We still talking, right? We talking business, like. And then Mirage, we had just produced a track for Mirage, and that came on. It started playing. And he was like, what's this? And I said, oh, that's my boy Mirage. I've known him from Keeling too. And he was like, does he want to make a record off of like one song? He like, does he want to make a record? I said, yeah, he does. I spoke for him. I said, of course he does. And he was like, okay, what type of deal he want? I said, give him the same deal as me, where he owns his artwork. He owns his publishing. He owns his masters. He owns everything off that record. So he was like, okay, bet, get with him. And I need his record next week, right? Like, it was, now what? So I called Dana Mirage. He's at PV at the time. I wake him up. I say, what you doing? Man, chilling, tea, blah, blah, blah. I said, yo, I got you a record deal. You want to make a record? He was like, bet. If you say it's go time, I'm down. Click. So I said, when he came to Austin, we hit up a studio. We cut his record to 2-inch tape, knocked it out over a weekend, submitted it, and it dropped probably the next year. It was called Life is a Rhythm. And his record cover is like the Marvin Gaye cover that you see on Good Times, like with everybody dancing. It was like a real art piece like that. Damn. So I was able to sign him, and I gave him the ability. I didn't take because Dana, you know, I produced half of that. Dana wanted to give me publishing off his record. I said, you take all that, now you go be great. He started Melodic Science, and he was signing Icon. He was signing Screwface, a reggae artist from PV. So that's what I wanted it to be. I didn't never want to be the guy where, you know, I'm Diddy and everybody's under me. I want to knock that first domino down. Here, you got publishing now. You own your record. Like when it became the 20th anniversary of my record, I put it out again because I own it. When it became the 20th anniversary of his, the following year, he puts it out because he owns it. That's big business. A lot of rappers come around, they talk like they really getting it.
Oh yeah.
You make believing, right? You on the Mr. Rogers choo-choo train going through. You ain't really got no stacks. There's stacks and facts, right? Like work is measurable. You can measure the work. So Mirage was able to do his thing, and he's still doing it, you know. And then, you know, I dropped me some. But the thing with that record was when I dropped the Good Vibe record, everybody thought I was from L.A. Right, because that's where the label was. So I was in the Source. I was in Vibe. I was in Rap Pages. I was in Murder Dog. I was in all that. And it was like L.A. artist T Double dropped the ba.
So you had to correct.
Yeah. So everybody in town was like, "Oh, T flipping on us." So my next record was called Texas Resident, and that reeled everybody back into okay. He riding with the town.
That was your response.
Yeah, that was my next album that I put out was called Texas Resident.
But that was your response, record though in general. You respond.
Yeah, I had to let people know I'm from the town, right? Like, don't get it twisted. So from that, I was able to just build a fan base, and then Good Vibes wanted to put a bunch of money like in advance, right? They wanted to say, "Here's X amount of dollars for you, T." I said, "That's dope, but how about we take this and put it towards my marketing, right? How about we take this and put it towards my advertisement? How about we take this and put it towards getting my records in Japan, China, and all these other outlets?" They was like, that's interesting. Nobody's ever really, you know, like Maddie told me, he said, nobody's ever really turned down our money before. Nope. And I said, put it towards something else. Because I knew after this, I had a 1 album deal with them, right? A label deal. So I knew after that, I would build enough buzz from their money marketing me that I would have a fan base that I could take to Texas Resident, that I could take to The Growth, that I could take the dub plates. So a lot of people who buy my records now bought Lost Scriptures. So now they following me, so the money's coming to me now. And then Good Vibes, they were gonna go to Def Jam. So I was gonna be a Def Jam artist, but there was contractual situation between Interscope, Def Jam, and Good Vibes. And another thing, because I had a label deal, if you remember, they had Slum Village. Who's in Slum Village? Jay Dilla. Right? They was on the same label. They couldn't move. They were signed as artists. I was the only one on Good Vibe that came in there and said, I want a label deal. So when all the contracts got caught up, I could walk away with my masters because I had a label deal. And I specifically put in my contract that if there's any disruption in the distribution, marketing, promotion of anything under the Kinetic brand that I don't like, I can walk away with all my assets. So when they got in the contractual situation, I could walk away with my assets. Slum Village couldn't. A lot of artists couldn't. So then Jay Dilla kind of broke away, got a Q-Tip, the Uma, started producing all those records. You know that story, right? So that's why they kind of got, a lot of people got stalled out right there. But we could keep moving because I wasn't contractually bound where they had my assets. So I took my record. Mirage took his because he was on the Kinetic too. So he was free. We were both free. We owed no money. We were never in debt. I've never been signed as an artist to a label. I've never owed a label money. I've been able to make records and profit off every record I've made.
Oh, 360 for my guy T Double.
No.
Talk about speaking of 360. Let's talk about the Grammys. So when we started out with that, you know, you said the experience, kind of what you said, but like, you know, you flew out there, especially coming straight from not having no power. Now you out and you know, out and about, mixing and mingling, having power everywhere.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Man, you know, it's like the power went out here, as everybody know. Every February is going to be no power month, right?
No power February.
No power February, right? It's fuck out of here February. So we flew out. We, you know,
Black History Month too. Like, come on.
I know. Come on.
Yo.
It's a conspiracy, man. It's a conspiracy. Why the power got every February?
That is whack.
It is. So we flew out. We got a room at the W. Then we flew out, and once we got to the hotel to Biltmore, which is where most Grammy people stay at. Big artists, everybody. Like you can just walk around. You're eating breakfast and some producers over here.
You don't know who you talking to.
Everybody's in there, right? Like, we eating breakfast before we leave, and somebody next to us is publicist.
Whole lot of money.
Publicists talking about the artists that they dealing with, and Rolling Stones and Billboard and all that. It's everywhere. So once you touch down, it's electric. It's the Grammys, right? It's going down. You got to be on your A game. You got to look sharp every day. You got to be on it. You got to know what you want. Like, you can't go to the Grammys and be like, I think I kind of want to rap, or I kind of want to sing, and I think you gotta be like, look, I want a label deal. This is what I've done. This is who I am. And you got to get your networking on, right? And if you network enough, your name precedes you, right? Like, people will see you and know who you are. Other people will introduce you, which makes it easier, and all that. Like running around and ran into my boy S1. And S1 produced Power for Kanye West. Mm-hmm. He did a lot of Watch the Throne. He produced for Beyonce. He won a Grammy, because of the Beyonce record. He produced Madonna, all that.
S1 slept on.
Yeah, and so, and while I was working at South by and all that back then, his group Strange Fruit Project that he was in, I was getting them submitted and getting them showcases, and Hip Hop Mech after me, they were doing the same thing. So we kind of chatted about that, like, look where we at now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we stand up here at the Grammys just kicking it. And then you go to the premiere party, which is earlier in the day, but on Sunday of the Grammy. That's where they give out like maybe 30 awards, something like that during the day. So you go there, and like Viola Davis, she got a Grammy, so she became an EGOT, right? Like Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. And she won a Grammy during the late night telecast too, but she actually broke that record during the day at this small premiere ceremony where she won a Grammy. And people were really surprised that she showed up. That's Viola Davis, right? Like, she just stood up and went up there, and we was like, damn, this is crazy. And my boys, Freestyle Fellowship, who actually took me on my first big tour in 2004. They got nominated for Best Historical Record for To Whom It May Concern. I think that's what it was called, which came out like 91 or something. So for a hip-hop record to get that classification of Best Historical Album was really dope, and it was really dope to be there and support them, because when I went on tour with them on the ESPN Calicom tour in 2004, they really showed me about style. Like, if anybody knew about Project Blowed, Freestyle Fellowship, their whole thing is freestyle with style. Like, they so sharp with them words that they sound like jazz musicians. Like, go Google Freestyle Fellowship, YouTube.
Almost kind of like in a Black Thought way.
Better than Black Thought.
No, I know, but that's like Black Thought's dope.
But they flow like that, like it's liquid. Mm-hmm. And when they picked me up to go on tour, it was really Dale, the Funky Homo Sapien, was the headliner, and there was all these other groups under it. And they saw me performing at Emo's when it was on Red River. I opened up for Dale, and after I opened up, his manager Buku One, who was my homie at the time, he was like, Dale wants to know if you want to go on this tour, like right after I performed. And I said, yeah. Of course. Say no. Of course. So Dale brought me on stage and was like, yo, Austin. I think the Chronicle even wrote about it because it was so big. They were like, yo, Austin, this is, and they're like, T-Dub. He said, I'm about to take him on tour for like a 50-day tour, sponsored by ESPN on the tour bus, the whole shit. So flew out, and then when the tour was going to Louisiana, I told him, I got to do a show in Austin. I got to take this tour bus to my town. I got to come back to the town. So we canceled the Louisiana date and made it an Austin date. So when I got here, I called the hood. I mean, I had the whole hood on the tour bus. I had lowriders, mini trucks, Connie Park. Everybody was on the tour bus. Like, it was amazing. But yeah, they got nominated Best Historical Album. They didn't win, but just the historic moment of a hip hop album going up against Blondie.
No, I know.
Going up against, whoever else was it. Wilco. Wilco won. Going up against all these albums. It's just crazy. And then you're walking around, you're getting food during the Grammys, you're in line with whoever, like Heidi Klum was there.
What's your favorite moment, or did you have a crazy moment at the Grammys, or even like an awkward moment with a celebrity, just some random stuff happened? Not
really, man, because to take a quote from Morris Day out of Purple Rain, right? I'm the only star in this motherfucker. You know what I mean? So I don't walk around and be like, oh damn, there's so and so. Oh my God, and be shell shocked, right? But it's cool to see these artists and be like, was that Pharrell? Like the last time at the Grammys, at the after party, I think Pharrell was there, Anthony Hamilton was there, I think Justin Timberlake was there. I mean, everybody just kicking it, right? So when you're in that environment, you have to present yourself as you supposed to be there.
Oh, for sure.
I'm supposed to be here, right? So when they talk to me, they know they're gonna talk business. Everybody in there was, in the lobby, in the elevator, everybody talking business talk. It wasn't no, sure it's nice weather outside. It was like,
Oh, yeah, who's
when
the
you
coolest
touring,
person?
when you producing, when you blah 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 blah.
Who's the coolest person that you bumped into that's like the most like?
This time, I don't know who was
I'm just curious.
who was the coolest this time, because it was, since it was kind of a smaller gathering, right, where a lot of the bigger acts were going to like the rock brunch or the Clive Davis thing, or so most of them weren't even mingling around. They were at like these other separate events. But in years past, it was like to be there when Prince was there,
Oh,
to
that's
be, Anthony Hamilton, all these artists, and just be like getting your food right next to like Justin Timberlake or somebody, right? Like it was like kind of a buffet thing. But it's just a wild event. Like once you go to the Grammys, you're just like, you come back motivated, right? If you had any motivation before, this kicked it up a notch, because now you smelt the flower, you smelt the rose, and you're like, I want to plant some of those. Where do I get them seeds from, right?
You got plenty out here in Austin.
Yeah, and it's gonna make you get on it. Like a few years back, I had my homie Pharaoh who wrote "Blame It on the Alcohol." He was like, "I'm in the studio with Usher. I'm in the studio." People will call you like randomly, like, "I'm in the studio. What you doing? Come meet me at Sunset Sound. Come meet me at somebody's spot." I would say probably the craziest person that I met was my cousin Day One. He's a real dope super producer in LA. Like he produced for Kendrick Lamar, he produced for SZA, he produced for a lot of my cousins.
So you rocking with Top Dog?
Yeah, like Jamie Foxx is my cousin too. Like so, is he when I went to visit his studio, he's real close with Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, my cousin Day One. So he was like, "Yo, come over here to the studio." So we come to the studio. He's building this new studio. We walk in, and he's introduced me about like, "Yo, this is my cousin T. This is my cousin T." And there's some guys on the couch playing fucking video game, PS, whatever they was playing, right? And he's like, "Yo, that's Rick." I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "That's so and so." Boom, boom, boom. So he's sitting back there talking, and the Rick guy comes in, and he's talking to Day One. He was like, "Yo, man, I'm about to head out. Let me know what else you need done to this," because he was helping him build the studio. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, "Was that Freeway Ricky? Freeway Ricky, like the real one?"
No, yeah.
The real one.
No,
And my cousin was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Damn, I'm on somebody's FBI tape now."
That is crazy. That's somebody you don't expect. You won't expect for Rick Ross.
Because he was sitting in the dark when we walked in playing video games, and I shook his hand, right? Like, what's up? He's like, "Hey, what's up? What's going down?" And then he came back into a more lit area, and I was like, "Is that who I think?" My cousin like, "Yeah, that's him." And I was like, "Damn, that was like the biggest dope dealer of the '80s, moving like $1 million plus a day, like."
Just chilling.
Just
playing
crazy story.
2K.
Playing 2K.
Whatever.
Playing, Punch Out or something. Who know what he was.
I got a question, because I saw you a couple years ago with Prince. I hate to say, I forgot the name of their name. The Prince's band.
Oh, the Revolution.
Yeah, I seen you was really cool with them and saw you on stage with them. I mean, how did you connect with them? I mean, that's crazy.
That goes back. I always tell people join up to the Grammys, right? It's $100 a year, and I've been part of the Grammys for 20 plus years. But I ran across Dr. Fink, who's the keyboardist for Prince. He's the one that dressed like a doctor, right? And it was meant to be that day because I was wearing a Prince shirt that day. So it was the Grammy party during South by Southwest, where they usually have at the Hilton, right, at the Four Seasons. So we're back there, and I see him, right, because he's wearing the doctor outfit, so he stands out, right? Everybody's in suits and whatever. And I was like, "Is that fucking Dr. Fink?" I said, "Is that?" Because Prince is the reason I mailed demos, right? So they have a very special place in my heart. So to see him, I just walked up and was like, "Excuse me, like, are you Dr.?" Like, that was probably a fanboy moment.
You gonna have one. Everybody
couldn't resist it.
Everybody's gonna have that one.
I was like, "Are you Dr. Fink?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "Hey, my name's Tyranny." And then somebody was like, "Oh yeah, this is T Double." He did, somebody kind of piggybacked.
Give him your government name.
Gave me the layup, right? Yeah. And I was like, "Yo, I think." And he was like, "I'm starting this company." His son raps. He was like, "I'm trying to do all these things." And I was like, "Cool, let's talk. Let's And it transitioned from me being a fan to more being a friend to more talking about business and all these things. But every time he would come to Austin, he'd be like, "Yo, I'm playing ACL. Do you want to come to the show? I'm playing Emo. Do you want to come to the show?" And I had a podcast going on called Live from T-Topia, and I interviewed him on there, and he was telling about the whole story of them playing with Prince back when they was like 16, 17. But yeah, whenever the Revolution came through, he'd be like, "Yo, come through." And it's cool to talk to him and Because, you look on YouTube, you hear these stories about Prince, and everybody has their own, misconception about him, just like Dale from Homo sapien. People be like, he's high and he's whatever. The dude's a genius. Dale's a genius. We'll get to that. But he was like, yeah, so Prince did this, Prince did that. And I was like, dope. But yeah, it was like, when they came and did ACL, like, for both weekends, was there for both weekends. When they did played at Emo, was there for that. And it's just, you just meet those kind of people when you're out and about, and you meet entertainment lawyers who have clients who, is a lawyer for Usher, a lawyer for Chris Brown, a lawyer for Neo, and a lawyer for who, and they'll just be like, yeah, I'm gonna plug you in. Like a friend of mine who's a big entertainment attorney, whenever he would introduce me to people, he'd be like, yo, this is TW, he's like the best producer ever. Like, he would pump me up so much, I'd be like, maybe I am the best motherfucking producer ever, right? Like really riding for you, right? And so, yeah, it was just so that's the revolution story, and I love that, 'cause that, and I told him, I said, look, dude, I even went on my podcast, I said, look, man, because of y'all is why I'm in the music business. Because of Prince and the revolution and everything that y'all were doing is why I mailed my demo. Is why I wanted to get into this business. And he was like, make sure you own what you do, which just puts a stamp on what I learned years earlier about owning what you do. Because he was like, they went through all these steps dealing with labels. Prince had Slave on his face.
Yeah.
He didn't own his name.
Yeah, he didn't own his name. He didn't own his publishing. He didn't own Purple Rain. And that's why I say Prince should be taught in college. Like, his career should be taught. Like, if you really sit down and peep it, he made a lot of mistakes in different situations that could easily be rectified now if artists just take a moment to really read up on it. But yeah, man, so it's just, when you work hard, people peep the work and they willing to pass you on and give you the alley-oop to somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't really got to walk around and be like, hi, I'm T-Double. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else will say it for you. So all you got to do is step up and, do the work, make the beats, just like when I got in the sync and film. Like, everything in my life has been intersectional. It's always been 2 or 3 things happening at the same time. I've never been just the rapper. I've been like rapper, producer. I was doing shows. I was doing a lot of shows at Stubbs called Illmatic Flow, which was an open mic where people would come and rap and perform, and I was giving away $500 every Tuesday. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I give you a drink ticket and $50. I was gonna have $500, $1,000, right? I said, if you come in, you got bars, and we had judges who would, Bavu Blakes, other people come in and be judges. You walk out there with some bread. Like, let's do it for real, right? Let's up the ante. Let's make everybody better. Let's raise the stakes.
Yeah, that's what's missing out here.
Yeah.
Wrapping up, what you got anything for South by this year?
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna be performing with Tomar and the FCs. We've done a couple of shows, kind of like a Motown review. It's the best way I can say it, where there's like 5 or 6 bands, and we go back to back to back to back to back performing, doing sets like that. And so yeah, I'm gonna be sitting in with him for South by Southwest. Man, I don't know the date yet on that, but it should be pretty tight. It should be pretty tight.
Dope. Where can we find you at on social media and everything?
Hey, everybody can go to tdouble.com, TEEDOUBLE. That's where you can find about the music. That's where you can find about Urban Artists Alliance, my advocacy for artists to learn about the music business. That's where you can find Kinetic Global Marketing, because I just finished some classes at UT Macomb School of Business. I got the Kinetic, global marketing stuff going on. So I'm doing a lot of things. I try to stay busy because, it's like, if I'm just sitting around, I'll just be like, my mind just goes. I'm like, why don't I start a business on this? Why don't I do that? That's why I used to put out like 3 or 4 records a year, because I can't sit still. I got to be creative. But yeah, tdouble.com. On social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that, it's Tyranny Johnson. I don't have the real T-Double. I don't have none of that lame shit. No. It's like Tyranny Johnson, right? TERRANY Johnson, and you get directly. And I respond to messages, all that on there. So yeah, I'm a real person.
Let's go, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming through. Yeah. Definitely got to have you come back for another part 2.
Yeah, we're talking Chili Reds. We said we want to get y'all up here together and really give that history.
Yeah, we got to have that.
Yeah, man. You got, and that's, like I said, it's like, I've been very blessed my whole career to be in some magical moments and in some magical bands like Hip Hop Hump Day, Boombox AT. Like, I've been very blessed to be right time, right place, where lightning has struck like at least 10 times. And I've been there, and still to be able to make music and put stuff in films. You know, I do a lot of sync stuff, waiting to hear back on some Transformers 7 stuff and other cartoons and stuff. So that could be the next. Each time we do an interview, it should be like centered around. Next one is about film.
That's what I'm saying. For part 2, that's definitely
get
one.
into some of your
And the syncing
but we'll
too.
do that next time.
Oh yeah. Hey man, I definitely appreciate you coming through, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Appreciate you dropping jewels. We'll have you back again, my boy T Double. This is history, man. Legend, man. Show him his respect. Give him his flowers. This is Jet with Pop Awesome Media, and I'm signing out. T Double, let go.
Thanks for watching. We just hit that 11K, so we're on our way to 12. So make sure you hit that like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time.